Om Tyageshwaram Ramakrishnam Saradam Matra Rupinim Vivekanandam Acharyam Natva Vakshyami Shuddhaye Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Cha Bhaishajena Yopakarottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjali Ranadosmi. In our last class, we discussed first 4 sutras of this Patanjali Yoga Sutra. These 4 sutras are very important. We get an overview of what yoga is, what is the direction, and it is a part of Samadhipada. So the highest philosophy, so to say, the highest experience is narrated in these 4 sutras. The highest experience that this yoga system advocates, that is narrated here. The first sutra was Atha Yoganushasanam, that is, we are beginning scripture dealing with the teachings of yoga. And these teachings are not Patanjali's own, but what he has received from his teachers, Anushasanam. That was the first sutra. Second was Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the restraint of vrittis, of the chitta. And we discussed what is chitta and what are vrittis. Chitta is that antahkarana, internal instrument, or to say the ground where all our experiences happen. So I am a man, I am happy, I am miserable, this is a table, this is X, this is Y. All these experiences that we have, these are all happening in the chitta. That is antahkarana. In common parlance, we call it mind. But technical term or more precise term is chitta, mental or inner instrument, antahkarana. The, so to say, ground of all our experiences. If we think what we are, then we are this body. So if we take body out, then what remains of us is this chitta, so to say. Because we are aware only of these two, body and chitta. So chitta is that ground of all our experiences. And vrittis are modifications of this chitta. Chitta vrittis, modifications of this chitta. And we gave, Swami Vivekananda gives a beautiful example. This chitta is like a lake. And vrittis are like waves of this chitta, of the lake. There are waves on the lake, so are there vrittis on the chitta. Vrittis on the lake of chitta, so to say. And we saw how this chitta modifies itself in various modes, so to say. When we say, this is a table, we see something and immediately the experience comes, I am seeing a table. But between seeing and this experience flashing, the mind has undergone through various modes. It has taken the form of the object, then it has fetched the name from its memory, then it has decided that it is table, and then the ego jumps in saying, yes, I am seeing a table. So all these things have happened. But the point to note is, every knowledge, every experience we get, it's caused by a vritti. That is the relation between vritti and knowledge. Behind every piece of knowledge, every piece of experience, there is a vritti. If I say I am, it is because of a vritti. If I say I am happy, it is because of a vritti. If I say I am miserable, it is because of a vritti. If I say this is a table, there is a vritti. So every experience we have, it has a vritti behind it. The vritti generates that experience. So our whole empirical life is a series of experiences, and as such, a series of vrittis. The chitta breaking into various vrittis and giving us various experiences. That is chitta vritti. And Patanjali says, Nirodha, restraint of these chitta vrittis is yoga. So, which means the mind has to be quietened. The lake should not have any waves, or the chitta should not have any modifications. That is the state of yoga, a simple definition. But then we feel that if there are no waves, there are no modifications, then there won't be knowledge, because every knowledge is caused by a vritti, and every vritti gives a knowledge. So if there are no vrittis, there won't be knowledge. Swami says that it is like when the lake becomes pure and free from waves, then we can see the bottom of the lake. The bottom of the lake is our swarupa, our real nature. Or we can see our own reflection in the lake only when the water is pure and free from waves, quiet. So also when the chitta becomes pure and free from vrittis, then tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam, that is the third sutra, then the seer abides in its own real nature. Then we abide in our own real nature. We realize our real nature only when the mind is quiet and pure. That is the state of yoga. And the fourth was vritti sarupyam itaratra. That is the empirical state, the state in which most of us are most of the time. There is identification, albeit apparent, of the seer, of the purusha, with the vritti. Vritti sarupyam. Identification with the vrittis, itaratra. Itaratra means at the time when the chitta is not in the state of yoga. So there is state of yoga, and then there is state of vyutthana, or state of non-yoga. So when the mind is in a state of non-yoga, vyutthana, itaratra, what is its condition? What is the condition of the purusha? The purusha's condition is vritti sarupyam. The purusha identifies itself with the vrittis, and that's how we get our empirical experiences. The chitta becomes unhappy, the vritti of unhappiness arises in the chitta, and the purusha identifies itself and saying, and we get the experience, I am unhappy. So also the chitta becomes happy, and I say, I am happy. The chitta sees something, or it takes a form, and then I come and say, I am seeing this. So there is this vritti sarupyam, identification with the modifications of the chitta at all stages or all states other than the state of yoga. These are the 4 sutras which give us an overall view of our life and where Patanjali wants us to go. He wants us to go to that state of yoga called chitta vritti nirodha. And if we look at our present condition, it's right there in the mind, basically in the antahkarana. The vrittis are so many. Continuously the chitta antahkarana is breaking into waves. And the task we have been given is to quieten it. Towards the end of our last class, we discussed that this is a simple explanation, but the Bhashyakara, see, he has to be a little more careful, and so he comes in and says that this definition of yoga as restraint of vrittis is to be understood properly. It doesn't mean restraint of all the vrittis, because if you understand this as the restraint of all the vrittis only, then what about the stages which lead to this state of complete restraint? There are steps and stages. This complete restraint of chitta vrittis doesn't happen overnight, doesn't happen suddenly. There are stages, there are steps. And what about those steps? Those steps will fall outside the purview of the definition of yoga. If you say that complete cessation of all vrittis alone is yoga, only that one state is yoga, then all the other states, all the other stages which lead to that state will fall outside the purview of this yoga. So he says, he takes the prasiddha or well-known definition of yoga, and he says, yoga samadhi. That is Vyasa Bhashya. Yoga samadhi. Here samadhi means concentration. This word yoga is derived from, actually can be derived from 2 roots. One is yajir yoge, which means union. And in that sense, it is used in Vedanta and Bhakti Shastras. It's a union of Jivatma with Paramatma and all that. So that is the union. That is one meaning of this word yoga. Yoga meaning union. The other meaning is yuj samadhau. Yuj meaning concentration. And it is in this sense that Patanjali and Vyasa, all of them, use this word yoga. Yoga means concentration. That is the accepted meaning of this word yoga. So if we say yoga means concentration, then it covers all the steps leading to this complete cessation of all vrittis. That also comes within the purview of this definition. Yoga adds concentration, because concentration is needed there also. In that state of complete cessation also there is concentration. And all the steps leading to that also there is concentration. So yoga samadhi, that is the a more wider definition that Vyasa gives, which covers the steps leading to this cessation of all vrittis. But this poses another question, that is, if yoga is samadhi or yoga is concentration, then do all the concentrations come under the purview of the term yoga? There is a concentration of a person who is extremely attached to sense objects, or there is a concentration of a person who has hatred, or there is concentration of a person who has, so to say, mastered some particular act for his or her benefit. Now there is concentration there. Does that concentration also come under the purview of yoga? Do I say that a person who is extremely attached to sense objects and is concentrating on means to get those, is he or she also a yogi? Is he or she also practicing yoga? That question comes. When you say yoga, it's concentration. And see, commentators, that's what they do. They define, then they refine the definition. So Vyasacharya also gives, so to say, clauses, so to say, to restrict this definition of concentration to actually what is called yoga. And to do that, he divides human minds into 5 types. So all the human minds can be classified into one of these 5 types. He gives them names called Kshipta, Moodha, Vikshipta, Ekagra and Niruddha. These are the 5 mental types, so to say. Kshipta, Moodha, Vikshipta, Ekagra and Niruddha. So these are the 5 mental types. All human minds, any human mind, can be classified under one of these. Kshipta is scattered. That is the mind of a worldly person, out and out rank materialist. It just keeps on going from one object to another. It is completely scattered. That is a Kshipta mind. Moodha is stupefied, so to say, a dull mind, dominated by tamas, obsessed with things. That is the second type. Third is Vikshipta. This Vikshipta is what most of the spiritual aspirants in their initial or stages have, this Vikshipta state of mind. It is called distracted. I mean, every translator has translated these words in different ways. We have to understand what it means. So, Vikshipta can be translated as distracted. It is also scattered for most of the time. It is also Kshipta for most of the time, but it has gained some measure of control over it. And it is able, this mind is able to concentrate at will for some length of time. This mind is able to concentrate on God or whatever object it wants to for some length of time. That is the Vikshipta mind. So we come to temple or we go to our meditation room and try to meditate. Now we can concentrate so long as our mind allows us to. Not so long as we want to, but so long as our mind allows us to. But there is some degree of concentration in our mind. When it is over, it's again scattered. So there is this difference between Kshipta and Vikshipta. Kshipta is of an out and out materialist. Vikshipta is of a spiritual seeker. There is that degree of control, some exercise of concentration, some concentration is possible, albeit not for whatever length of time that person wants, but till the mind allows. But there is some degree of concentration possible in that mind. So that the mind is called Vikshipta, distracted. The fourth type is Ekagra, that is one-pointed. Now this one-pointed mind is of yogis. So they can concentrate on any object they want for any length of time they want. They are not at the mercy of the mind. We can concentrate only so long as the mind allows us to. But these yogis who have this Ekagra mana, one-pointed mind, they can concentrate as long as they want on any object they want. So that is the Ekagra avastha of the mind, or Ekagra type. We see in Swamiji's life, he could concentrate on any object for any length of time. He was not at the mercy of his mind. So this is the Ekagra type. And then there is fifth, that is Niruddha, that is restrained. That is for the highest type of yogi. So these are the 5 states or 5 mind types, so to say. These are the 5 mind types. All the minds can be classified into all these 5. And then Bhashyakara says that concentration which comes only in the Ekagra mind, one-pointed mind, yastu ekagre chetasi sadbhutamartham pratyotayati. When that concentrated, one-pointed mind concentrates on any object, that object will reveal its secrets to it. Swamiji says this. You concentrate and the object of concentration will reveal its secrets. Vyasa Bhashya is telling the same thing. Sadbhutamartham pradyotayati. It will reveal its real meaning. Khinoti cha kleshan. This concentration will attenuate, weaken our drives. We have these drives of hatred or attachment or desires or fears. All these drives, these will be Shinoti. These will be attenuated, weakened, that concentration in the one-pointed mind. Karma bandhanani shlathayati. It will loosen the bondages of karma. And nirodham abhimukham karoti. It will orient or facilitate the gliding of that mind into the state of complete cessation called nirodha. Sasamprajnataha iti akhyayate. That is samprajnata yoga. So this is a definition of samprajnata yoga. We get a new term here, understand, it is samprajnata yoga. So this yoga is of course, Patanjali himself will subsequently tell us, it has 2 phases. One is samprajnata, the other is asamprajnata. Samprajnata is when there is an object of concentration. That concentration has an object. And asamprajnata is when there is no object. That is the state of nirodha or sarvavritti nirodha. But what Vyasa Maharshi is telling, he is defining samprajnata yoga and defining very beautifully. And he says, this is what is called yoga. First, it has to happen in a ekagra mana, in that one-pointed mind. So, minds which are scattered, which are running after sense objects, they can also have concentration. They have concentration, no doubt. Even a thief might meditate how to rob properly or whatever. But it is not a one-pointed mind. Because just after that, it is succeeded by a state of distraction. But a one-pointed mind, ekagra chetas. So the concentration has to happen in the one-pointed mind. That is important. Secondly, it has to attenuate our kleshas, our drives. So the concentration of the worldly-minded people who are running after wealth, fame, and all that, they may practice meditation, no doubt. And it will help them in achieving their object. But that doesn't come under the purview of yoga. Only that concentration which attenuates, weakens our drives, our desires, our hatreds, our fears, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, which weakens them, which attenuates them, that concentration alone can be called yoga. This is a touchstone, so to say. Touchstone of what is yoga. Does that concentration attenuate the desires, attenuate the hatreds and all that? That is yoga. And then karma bandhanani shlathayati. It will loosen our bonds of karma, and most importantly, nirodham abhimukham karoti. It will orient us, it will take us towards that state of nirodha. That is samprajnata yoga iti akhyayate. That is called samprajnata yoga. So here, very clearly, Patanjali Maharshi has told what is yoga, and in the process, we know what yoga is not. So we find the term yoga being used for all kinds of practices, apart from physical exercises, even mental exercises. But what is the purpose? What is the aim? What is the result? That defines whether it can be called yoga or not. For it to be called yoga, it has to fulfill all these conditions. It has to be in a one-pointed mind, not in a distracted mind, not in a scattered mind. It has to be in a one-pointed mind. So, when that mind is not in a state of yoga, it will be one-pointed. It will not be distracted. It will be one-pointed. So that is the first condition he says. We are repeating this because this clarifies our idea about yoga. It should also weaken our drives, our kleshas, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. These kleshas have to be kshina by the practice of concentration. That is the touchstone, so to say, of whether it is a yoga or not. That concentration which is undertaken to increase these drives is no yoga at all, or to fulfill the desires is no yoga at all. The concentration should weaken our drives, and it should help us go towards that highest state of sarvavritti nirodha. Nirodham abhimukham karoti. That is samprajnata yoga. And sarvavritti nirodhetu asamprajnata samadhi. When, as a result of this practice of concentration called samprajnata yoga, the mind attains a state of vairagya, parama vairagya, and then it enters into a state of sarvavritti nirodha, where all the vrittis of the mind are restrained, and that is called asamprajnata yoga. That is the highest state. So this yoga, according to Patanjali and Vyasa, is twofold. Samprajnata and asamprajnata. Both come within the purview of yoga. And samprajnata yoga only when it fulfills all those conditions that have been laid down. Not each and every concentration. No doubt it is a state of concentration, but not each and every state of concentration, but only when it fulfills these conditions. So here we understand that to make the mind free from all modifications and all that, it has to go through this stage of samprajnata yoga. You cannot jump straight away to this, whatever you call, blanking the mind or suppressing all the vrittis. Suddenly you cannot do it. That is not the Patanjali way of doing it. Patanjali says first you have to choose an object and concentrate on it and control all the vrittis except one. That is your object of meditation. If you are meditating on your Ishta Devata, all other vrittis have to be restrained. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. All other vrittis have to be restrained except the one which is the object of your meditation. And that when you get established in it, that will lead you to that asamprajnata, where there is sarvavritti nirodha. So asamprajnata, or this complete cessation of vrittis doesn't come directly. It has to be through Samprajnata Yoga. Right. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.